Hi, and I hope you're doing well. Now we are going to see C# variables, and if you want to learn more about programming, make sure to subscribe. Here are some variables that I declared. This first part are value types, the second part are reference types. And here I am printing them just to get rid of the warning, because if I don't print them, there will be a warning because this value is not being used, this variable is not being used. Okay, so in this first part, in this top 3 variables, we have integers. Okay, so first thing for variables, we have to declare them. That's the first part. You first need to declare a variable, and you can declare and initialize or instantiate, or you can just declare the variable like int x, right? And then I can initialize the variable, but I can also do in the same line. To declare a variable, we first need the data type. In this case, it's an int, but it can be a double, a float, a decimal, or whatever type that you want. So we first declare the data type, then we give it a name, we name the variable, and then we pass a value that this variable will hold. In C#, you always have to put a semicolon at the end of every line, so the compiler knows where the line ends, and that's basically the syntax of C#. So here we are declaring this A variable with a value of 1, the B variable with a value of 10, and then the C variable, we are going to give it a value of A plus B. And this is just to show you the operations. So here we have a sum operation with a hyphen, with a minus, we have a subtraction operation. With a star, we have multiplication, a times operation, A times B, and to divide we use the slash. We also have mod, which is the rest of the division, and we can also use the circumflex here to make a raised by the power of b, like a raised to the power of b. And here we have double, float, and decimal, which are numbers that can have a point, like 0.32 or something. And then float, we can have 0.2, and then in decimal we can have 0.5. Now you can see that we get an error here, and that's because C# is too strongly typed, and the literal number, and this literal number is meant to be used with double. So here we are trying to give a double number to a float, a 150.2. This is understood as a double by the compiler, and we cannot do this to a float. To make a literal of type float, we need to press F, and to make a literal of type decimal, it's an M. Okay, we can't also use F to pass into a decimal value. It needs to be an M. Now, a double variable is usually used for mathematics. The float is usually used for physics in games. In Unity, or you often see this float being used. And then decimal is used for money. You can also use int for money, because you can convert anything that has a point, a floating point number. You can convert it to cents, which will make an int, a integer number, and you store that in the database. But if you need more precision, decimal is the way to go. However, integer also works fine, but double and floats are not meant to store money. Here we have two more value types. We have Boolean values, which is just true or false. And we have char, which are characters. We can't pass more than one character to a char data type. So just one character, and this is the syntax, just one quote. Now to the reference type, here we have a string text, which is just a text between double quotes. Once again, because this is a reference type, the actual value will be on the heap memory and the variable will be in the stack memory holding a reference to the actual value in the heap. And this is for the this three. Now here we have an array of characters, which is also a string, because at the end of the day, a string is an array of characters, and an array is a collection of some type. So here we have this type char, and to declare an array, we use these brackets, and then we open brackets and pass each value, each character that will be inside of this array, this list. With arrays, the starting number is 0, so this age will be at the position of 0, the E at the position of 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 6 characters, but the positions are from 0 to 5. And here we have our object vehicle that has a max speed property and a capacity property. And the vehicle is a data type made by us, so we can actually make our own types, made by records, classes, structs, so we can create our own types, our own objects to represent something. Now down here you can see that I'm doing a new string and then passing a char array. And this works because, like I said, an array of characters is a string, so you can pass an array of characters to a string and instantiate the string, and it would turn out just like this, like we have here on text, but it would be like this. So this also a string. If we do a new string like this, what would, if we did a new string passing the also string, what would actually happen is this. We would make a string with the characters that we have all together. So that's basically it. We have integer numbers, we have numbers with a floating point, we have Boolean variables, characters, strings, arrays, and objects. There are other data types. We have structs, records, and we have long, ulong, we have byte, but I think this is enough for now. And if we run this program, that's what we get. So I hope you could understand what are the variables that we have on C#. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. It's very important for you to understand this. And I hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next one.